Hi there, everybody, and welcome back to the Toon review for this morning's video. And, well, the fallout has well and truly started from the Everton game. As we quite expected, there was a lot went on in that match, actually, that sort of bubbled over at times and got a bit out of hand. And the main talking point was what Jim Rosenthal actually said on Amazon at half-time in the game, that Jordan Pickford and Kieran Trippier had a sort of coming together in the tunnel. Now, obviously, we knew what had happened just before half-time with Anthony Gordon throwing himself to the floor, looking for a penalty. And, yeah, there's a lot of pundits come out and said, oh, it should have been a penalty, or I've seen them given, etc. No way was that a penalty, okay? It's one of these where Anthony Gordon, yet again, is getting a reputation for throwing himself to the floor and diving around like an idiot and trying to con the referee, which is exactly what he tried to do again last night. Now, nobody in that ground thought that was a penalty when it first happened. Yes, the Everton fans screamed penalty, but you could tell by the Newcastle United players' reaction that it was never a penalty, and it was never going to be a penalty. The referee had dismissed it out of all hand anyway before VAR got a check of it. But listen, it was a terrible dive, and Kieran Trippier goes over to have words with Anthony Gordon. Now, Newcastle players were obviously very aware of Anthony Gordon's little sort of tactics to win penalties and things like that for Everton. So they already knew that, and that's why I think Trippier went over. Now, Anthony Gordon is a cocky little shit, and we know he is. And starts mouthing off at Kieran Trippier. And that's when, of course, Fabian Schär comes absolutely roasting in and just pushes him a few times to get him out the captain's face. I love that from Fabian Schär. You know, you try and go at our captain, son, you've got to get through us. And that was fantastic from Fabian Schär. And then, of course, all the other team members come in and it all spills over. Now, what actually happened in the tunnel, according to Jim Rosenthal, was that the Pickford and Trippier went eyeball to eyeball in the tunnel. Now, we know that Trippier is good mates with Pickford, of course, England, etc., etc. So they are good friends. However, you've got to think that Pickford would be sticking up for Anthony Gordon because he's a young kid. Pickford's very experienced now and was trying to stick up for his teammate. But they come eyeball to eyeball in the tunnel. Now, I had a feeling when this was going on, all the melee going on before the halftime whistle, that this would happen. You know, it's very close to halftime. Players are, you know, the tempers are up and everything's, you know, going crazy. So I thought it might happen. And, of course, Jim Rosenthal's confirmed that this morning, that there was a clash between Pickford and Trippier. Now, whether you think it's right or wrong, you know, tempers afraid. Trippier is very frustrated that Anthony Gordon has thrown himself to the floor again looking for a penalty. And this kid is now beginning to get a very strong reputation for diving. All right, he has. He got it last season, and he's got it this season. And, you know, £60 million rated player, I don't quite think so. No chance. You know, the kid's obviously got a talent, fair enough, but he's spoiling that talent by completely trying to con the ref, you know, on a lot of occasions. And, you know, last night was no different. He tries to con the referee, and that is going to make Newcastle United players respond, get angry, and that all kicks off. And it's all through one player trying to con the referee. It's got to stop. We saw it in the Man United game as well. These players throwing themselves to the floor, looking for the referee's decisions. You know, the referees have got to be switched on to this now and start booking players. Start really coming down on them hard for these ridiculous dives that they take and trying to score points. And it's just, it's sickening. I don't like it when I see Newcastle players rolling around the floor feigning injury. And let's be honest, some of them do. You know, when there's nothing really wrong with them. I'm not saying that happens all the time, by the way, but it does happen. And I don't like seeing it from any footballer. Just get up and get on with the game. But throwing yourself to the floor trying to get a penalty is even worse, in my opinion. And that's what really angered Trippier yesterday. And it angered a lot of Newcastle players because they came straight in Kieran Trippier's defence, and it all kicked off from there. But, you know, clashing in the tunnel, I thought it might happen. You know, obviously Trippier's had something to say to Gordon. Pickford's not liked it, and they've had words in the tunnel. But it only came to eyeball and sort of as you stand there with your head on somebody else's head. So it didn't really get out of hand, but it could have. And that's all through somebody diving. Now, on a positive note, Eddie Howe, after the game last night, has come out and confirmed that Eliot Anderson is now very close to getting a first-team start in the Premier League. Now, he came on for the last 18 minutes last night, and again, for me, did very, very well. Sometimes he loses the ball, you know, trying to use his skills to dribble out of situations. But look, Eliot Anderson is a flair player. You know, you asked Joey Barton that from his time at Bristol Rovers last season. He is a flair player. He likes to take players on, so he is going to lose the ball on certain occasions, and that's up to Eddie Howe to coach him when to dribble, when to not to dribble, etc. But he came on, and for me, did very well again last night. Changed the game in a way because we needed that little bit of outlet, and Eddie confirmed that. He said last night that he was really versatile and gave us a lift in the game when we really needed it, and he was really pleased with him. So, yeah, brilliant. And he did, because he came onto that left-hand side and gave us that lift, gave us more of an attacking impetus because, you know, the second half it wasn't the same as the first. We were a little bit leggy, I think, in the second half, to be fair. But you know, you've got Eliot Anderson coming off the bench, and he did give us that lift. And he caused Everton a few problems while he was on the pitch. And Eddie said he's a big part of the squad and playing different positions, which is great. So Eddie Howe has obviously, you know, noticed the different positions that Eliot Anderson can play, and he wants to give him options. Now, I was very much the believer that maybe Eddie Howe was waiting to start him in the cup game against Crystal Palace in the Carabao Cup at St James's Park in early November. So that may well still be the case. But, of course, we are expecting Eddie Howe to make changes for the Tottenham game. Now, that's not to say he will, because we know what Eddie Howe's like. He you know, he throws a curveball every now and again, doesn't he? So you can never predict what Eddie Howe's going to do. But if he is going to make changes, I'd really like to see Eliot Anderson given a spot, possibly on that left-hand side, and not Ryan Fraser. You know, I know he came on at the same time as Fraser last night, but for me, you know, he was much more the standout player than Ryan Fraser was in that last 20, 25 minutes of the game. So I would give him a go if he is going to make changes against Tottenham, which we all expect. You know, the games are coming thick and fast in the Premier League now in the build-up to the World Cup break. So we've got to be at our best. But we've also got to maintain that fitness in the squad. And, you know, I think he will make some changes. But it's fantastic hearing him speak about Eliot Anderson, because us as Newcastle fans, we want to see a talent like that on the pitch for Newcastle. You know, homegrown and really raring to go and get stuck in and actually, you know, take players on. He's an exciting player to watch, and that's what we want to see moving forward. So it's great news for Eliot Anderson, having his manager talk about him like that. Now, finally, Frank Lampard. He was actually quite good after the game last night. I thought he would say he would a little bit of sour grapes and things like that, but it wasn't the case. He said after the game, fair play. They're working in a really good direction, and they'll give anyone that comes here a really good and tough game. Which now suggests to me that other managers and other players are now seeing St James's Park as this fortress that it once was. You know, and we're getting that back now, which is massive, because we just want to see that Geordie Temple just become a real crappy place for other teams to come. A place where we can dominate. And to be fair, most of the time this season, we've done that. You know, we give Man City, the champions, a real run for the money earlier on in the season with a 3-3 draw. And it took some world-class players to get them back in the game. So we are building this fortress up at St James's Park, and that can only be a good thing for us. And Frank Lampard saying that just gives me the impression that he now sees Newcastle United's St James's Park as a very tough place to come, and that fortress feeling coming back again. But we're very hard to break down. Very hard to break down, and I think that's what Lampard means as well, you know, because he mentioned stuff about breaking through the midfield in the second half, which they did on a few occasions, but as soon as it came to the final third, it came to an end because we just stamped it out, which is why the stats for the game only show one shot on target for Everton, because that's how it was. You know, they couldn't get through the back line. So it's incredible to see that now from other managers realising what a fortress St James's Park is now. So it's brilliant. But there you go, guys. That's the small bit of the fallout from the game last night, as we thought there might be. Trippier and Pickford clashing a little bit at half-time in the tunnel. But let me know in the comments what you think about it. You know, diving especially. This has got to be cut out the game, because you know, that sort of thing, it causes players to react, and players eventually getting sent off for, you know, pushing other players around or pushing them to the floor. And it can really cause a lot of upset just through a dive and trying to cheat. So let me know what you think. What do you think of Eliot Anderson? You know, does he deserve a start at Tottenham maybe, or would you hold back just till the cup game and bring him on for 20 minutes here and there in the Premier League, or do you really want to see him get a start now? Is he the real future of Newcastle United moving forward? But let me know in the comments below what you think. And if you have enjoyed today's video, guy, please do hit the like button. It does help us move up the search results on YouTube. And of course, if you're new, please do hit that subscribe button. It's free to do so. Come and become part of this Toon Review community. Everyone will welcome you. And of course, hit that notification bell as well, and I'll let you know when we go live or we upload. Now, if you're watching this on Thursday, don't forget, tonight is the actual match review from the Everton game. So we'll be going back and looking at the team lineups, the stats, the formations, you know, a lot of stats on the game, obviously, and just sort of pick the bones out of it. And of course, the player ratings. So let us know in the live comments if you agree or disagree with that. But until then, guys, have a wonderful Thursday. Take care.